Welcome YouTube to another D&D Fridays. Um, Welcome to another new year, 2022. And what's a better way of kicking off a new year by looking at a little bit of a New Year's resolution, I guess, by seeing what type of stuff that could be improved in terms of a subclass. And for this week, we'll be looking at the Assassin Rogue and just seeing what they offer currently and what could possibly be improved within the Assassin Rogue. But don't before we get to that, don't forget to always subscribe down below, hit the notification bell, and comment on down below as well. Without further ado, let's get right on into it. So, when it comes to a rogue is typically that skill monkeyer of the party, as well as the main stealth character within a party. Um, Pretty much every rogue is going to pick up expertise in stealth on either level 1 or 6, and going to be that disarmer of traps and that big burst damage character. Main things come from like expertise and sneak attack. Those are the main two features within a rogue.
Yep.
Expertise doubling your proficiency bonus in a skill, sneak attack adding and a certain amount of d6s on your attacks, up to a maximum of 10d6 at late levels. So really, a rogue is, I would say, is probably a pretty fun class in terms of those types of things.
Definitely. I would agree with that.
Yeah, and there's several different ways you can build a class, build a rogue. A few different ways of taking it, different subclasses and the like. With the assassin, the first thing that comes to my mind is this subclass is all about getting into that king's throne room, that party, that building, whatever it may be, and delivering that quick death strike to somebody and getting the heck out of there. However, the current iteration of the assassin, I'm not sure if it does that good of a job of actually doing that. So let's take a look at what the assassin currently offers us. So on level 3, you get proficiency in the disguise kit and the poisoner's kit, weapon feature, which makes a lot of sense for the assassin. But you also get assassinate. So pretty much, you have an advantage on your attack rolls against during the first round of combat against any creature that hasn't taken a turn in combat yet. In addition, any hit you score against a creature that is surprised is treated as a critical hit. So pretty much what this says to me is, number one, you got to focus on going first in combat.
Yep.
So you're going to want to max your dex anyways. You're going to want to get that alert feat. If you have like a Twilight Cleric or somebody like that in the party that can like give you advantage on saving throws or something like, or initiative, I mean, something like that, then you definitely want to do that type of thing. Maybe pick up like the Gift of Alacrity spell if you can somehow to get extra D8 on your initiative. You're going to want to focus on things like that. But the big thing is any hit that you score against a surprise creature is a crit. That to me doesn't seem too great because you're not going to really be surprising creatures too often in D&D. It doesn't come up all that
Right.
much.
Yep. And especially, it only can ever happen. And I know this plays into the skill here, but it can only ever happen on the first round of attacks.
Exactly. So after the first round of combat, you're pretty much a subclass less rogue, pretty much.
Right.
And what's the fun in that? As I mean, sometimes he might just be facing off against one creature. All right, fine, you do good damage to that one creature, but many times you're either going to be facing off against several creatures in the same combat, whether it's through waves or whatever, or B, the enemy creature just has so many defensive options, HP, stuff like that, where the combat was going to take 3, 4, 5, 6 plus turns anyways.
Yep.
So, so I've, so with the assassinate ability, I really like the idea that they were going for in terms of making that first turn attack supercharged, but but I think what could probably have been done was maybe add on, maybe keep something like the if you get surprised, you do like the nat 20 hit. All right, that might be fine
Mhm.
in some cases, but I think instead of advantage on attack rolls during the first turn of combat only, I think something along the lines of if you attack a creature who goes after you in the turn order, I think maybe add like half of your sneak attack damage die or something like that to it.
Mm.
So so that way at least you can have something, some sort of interaction that you can potentially do later on in combat or something like that if your target lives that first hit.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. I think that would be a fair compromise. I would like to see something where you could potentially re-trigger the surprise on the enemy, even though it's not the first round, right? And I know you can't surprise people in the middle of combat, but maybe you have super advantage, for lack of knowing what you know without having thought through this too much as of right now, but have super advantage on trying to hide, and then if you take like a whole round off, you can do that assassinate again, right? Because now you've snuck back up around them and you just rink or something like that, right? Make it a little bit more impactful, right? Even though you do have to take a round off or something, you can still get that assassinate type of feeling again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think something like that would be good because then you feel more like assassin, where it's like, because I was looking like real world. Sometimes the first assassination attempt doesn't go off as planned.
Right.
Maybe like somebody else comes in and takes the blow or whatever it may be, and then you got to figure out, all right, let me pull back, hide behind this rock or whatever, figure out in a quick 6 seconds what needs to be done, and then next time around I can get that assassination blow off.
Sure. Yep. Let me regroup, plan a little bit more. Maybe it means that you can't try that assassinate again until another combat encounter, or if you have the ability to, and that's why I said have something in there that would allow you to take advantage of your stealth. And I think I missed that part when I was trying to explain what I was saying with the super advantage, but in hiding or stealthing or something so that you can regroup and take advantage of it again.
Or maybe something along the lines that it could be is instead of all of this, maybe you can use your bonus action, kind of an action use to use your stealth
Mm.
ability check contested by the enemy creature's, let's say, perception, and if you happen to beat or win that contested ability check competition, maybe you can use your assassinate feature.
That I actually like that idea. That I think that actually, yeah, because if you're being sneaky, even if you can be assassinated in a big crowd, and if they lose you, if your target loses you, they don't know where you're going to be. So I like that. I think that plays into that quite well.
Yeah, and I think I kind of like that because one, because yeah, you, your hit will still be a critical hit for a bunch of damage, but you still got to beat that stealth check, and then once you beat that stealth check, you still got to hit the creature.
You'll have to hit
So
them.
if you get those two things, yeah, you get quite a bit of extra damage because now your hit is considered a natural 20.
Agreed. Yep.
Yeah, and now the only caveat to that I'm not sure how we can put a pin on is if somebody decides to be some sort of elvish race to get the elven accuracy feat for triple advantage.
Uh,
That might be a side note, um, overpoweredness part of it,
sure.
but I think other than that, I think that would make it a lot better.
I think it would be definitely worth investing some time into and seeing how it works out in a real game for sure.
Yeah.
It just feels more. It gives that little extra oomph to that skill. So
Next up, we have the infiltration expertise on ninth level. Basically, once you must spend 7 days and 25 GP to establish a history, profession, and affiliations, that type of stuff for some sort of identity. Let's say you want to be known as like part of the merchants fishing guild from another town or something like that. That's what it's really used for. You can't become somebody's identity. You can't say, I'll spend a week and 25 GP to make myself known as John Wick, for example. But you can make yourself known as, yeah, I was part of this noble household from this city on the other side of the country, let's say.
right. Yep.
That's more or less what it's trying to say. And then I also want to lump that in with the 13th level ability in terms of imposter. Basically, as long as you spend at least 3 hours studying, um, listening to somebody's speech, handwriting, mannerisms, stuff like that, um, you can pretty much mimic somebody's speech, writing, and behavior. Now, of course, if somebody is wary of you somehow, um, then you have advantage on deception checks to avoid the whole type of unveiling.
Right.
My whole thing is, it seems like these are using two separate level features to do what something as a simple at to do something that going another route could just do a lot easier. It's just okay. I already have proficiency in this disguise kit. If I wanted to, I could easily pick up the disguise self spell from like
Mhm.
Shadow Touch or something, or a quick multi-class, a one level dip somewhere, and then just get proficiency and deception score. That's really easy to get, and then use one of my 4 expertise to expertise deception.
Yeah.
Once you get up to 11 levels of rogue, you have reliable talent, so you can't roll under a 10 for that.
Yeah.
That seems like a whole lot easier to do than to do two features, one of which you may or may not get to, depending on if your campaign gets up to 13th level or not.
Really? That's a good point.
So, so honestly, I feel like was pretty much when it comes to the rogue, uh, one of their skills that they can choose from at starting out on level 1 is deception. So
Wow.
you can pretty much pick up deception right from level 1 and still have 3 other skills to pick up. Expertise it at level 1, and then either be like a custom lineage or variant human, or pick up one of your ASIs for Shadow Touch for disguise self, or just use your disguise kit,
Sure.
which you can expertise if I'm not mistaken.
I believe that is true.
Yeah. So it seems like you can really make that so much easier from such an earlier level, depending on how you build your character as early as level one.
Yep.
So I feel like these two needs to be better.
I, I I sort of feel like these two could be combined, and you
Yeah.
could basically pick them up at level 9 and become that infiltration expert slash imposter, because being an imposter also means that you can infiltrate well, right? So I would sort of like to see these two combined, and then maybe a second another sort of skill or feat added in here that you would gain at 13th level.
Yeah, I agree. If we combine these two features and make it a little bit more comparable to just say, yeah, I cast Disguise Self on me type of thing, I think that would be good. And then I'm thinking on 13th level, I think that feature should involve have something to do with poison
Sure,
or the like let's say because you already get proficiency in the poisoner's kit.
that's fair.
I would say if the if they did that or place a 13th ability with, let's say you can use your cunning action to coat your melee weapon or coat like your quiver of arrows or something in a poison for a minute, so that way for the next minute you don't have to worry about coating your weapons in poison, and it deals an extra, let's say, d6 of poison damage.
I like that.
And then I would also say for the enemy to make like a Constitution saving throw based on your spell save DC, which would be in this case 8 plus proficiency bonus plus your Dex modifier. And if they fail it, they're poisoned for the next minute,
Sure.
or and then maybe like it starts out at like a D6, let's say, of poison damage, and
Huh?
maybe on 17th level it ramps up to like a, I don't know, a D10 or 2D6 or something like that
Okay.
of poison damage. So you know when as long as you spend one bonus action, you're dealing a little bit of extra poison damage
Yep.
with the possibility of poisoning the enemy creature.
Yeah, I love this idea. This is great. I hadn't quite got to the poison part yet, but I was going to throw out there. I'd like to see that assassinate attack be more powerful at 13th level in some form or fashion, right? And you went away. You totally went away from the assassinate attack, right? You just said all attacks add that poison, and I think that's great. I was thinking that if you got that assassinate, that surprise attack with our addition, your, let's say your sneak attack, instead of being d6s for that turn, they turn into like d8s, because you just snuck up on that guy, right? And you're just like, I'm slitting that throat, mf'er. Right. So you just gone totally off on that, and so there's this idea that that attack's going to be more powerful. But I really like your idea too, Makai. I think that that's a really good take on it, especially since there's already that hook in there with the poisoner's kit that you pick up at 3rd level right off the bat.
Yeah. And I think the advantage of being able to like turn on the poison at will pretty much with a bonus action, I think it's balanced out by the fact that Constitution is the worst saving throw to target, with
Mhm.
poison is either the second or third worst damage type after fire. So it's like, so I think that balances it out, which is why I feel okay with saying, all right, it starts out with heck, maybe even extra D8 on level 13 that increases to like 2D8 or something like that on 17th level.
Right. No, I really like your idea. I think that that actually fits in a little bit better with the lower level uh, skills that you pick up, and things that you get when you pick the assassin subclass. So
And one of the things I want to make sure I allude to is if you happen to be playing that ranged rogue, I want to make sure that I really point out that I said that as part of this feature, you can coat your entire quiver, so you
right,
don't have to worry about, all right, every time, if every turn I have to waste that bonus action, I can still use my I can still have this effect and still use my bonus action to like hide or take the new kind of action effect from Tasha's, or if I want to dash real quick or disengage or whatever, I can still do that.
Yep, exactly. Exactly. Yep, I think that's a good point.
And then when we come to 17th level with Death Strike, pretty much whenever you attack and hit a creature that is surprised, keyword surprised,
Yeah.
it must make a con saving throw, which is 8 plus dex modifier plus proficiency bonus. On a fail save, double the damage of your attack against that creature. Which is great, because if you combine it with Assassinate, you're pretty much quadrupling your attack that turn. However, let's say we're going off of our updated Assassinate feature
Sure.
with this. This still only works if the creature's surprised,
Yep.
which isn't going to happen too often unless you make some sort of change.
Yep.
And B, the enemy creature must make a Constitution saving throw, which is the worst saving throw of the target because it's so readily resisted. And 3, it's a save or suck type of thing.
Yep.
If they fail, great, you do a lot of damage. If they succeed, nothing happens.
Yep. That's right.
What I think should happen would be if we incorporate this with the Assassinate ability that we updated, where you can pretty much re-up that surprise once you do a couple of things, then that part of the Death Strike is fine. But I would say if you still want to keep the Constitution save, I would say on a fail save, double your damage that turn. On a fail save, it's maybe 3 times, or no, it's maybe like 1.5 times the damage or something like that. So you still get a little bit of a damage boost, but not the full doubling from it.
You mean on a successful save?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Uh,
As if you compare it to spellcasters, a lot of their level spells, not all of them, but a lot of them that does damage basically says on a fail save, they take the full amount of damage of whatever the dice is. On a successful save, they take half.
Yep.
So I think doing something like that on this would make sense. And then of course on 17th level, like mentioned before, the poisoning feature would upgrade, and whatever else would upgrade at that level.
I think I would probably make a more overpowered tweak to this, honestly. So it might just be completely off the rails here. But I'm going to key in on the fact that in the first sentence, it says you become a master of instant death. I think I would rewrite this to where when you have a successful attack, and I haven't decided whether or not it needs to be surprised or not. I'm probably okay leaving surprised if we're using our suggested enhancements. You throw a percentile die to see if you hit a vital organ on that attack, and that gives that you either right out kill that enemy, or they only have X number of turns because they're actually bleeding out because you were super successful at your Death Strike. Like I said, I might have gone off the rails there, but
I'm kind of liking that idea. I guess maybe to go a little bit more in depth with it, kind of similar to the Divine Intervention from Clerics. Maybe
Yes.
make it like if you roll your percentile dice, like let's say under your rogues level or under 15 or something like that, where it's
Sure.
small enough where it can happen but not super often.
right.
So if you roll under that on a D100, All right, maybe they can, maybe something like what you said, like instant death, or they have 2 turns left, or whatever.
Right.
But if you happen to roll above that number, maybe you just deal like double damage or something
Sure.
like that.
Sure. I think that would be. I think that that actually plays into the idea of an assassin subclass, right? I've gotten so good that my strikes are amazing, and then when it goes off, it feels great, right? And it's got a low. It's not going to be so overwhelming to the game because it's only going to happen if if we let's just use the baseline of 15, right? Maximum, it's going to happen 15% of the times that this is even a chance of happening, right? So 3 or 4% of all of the games that you ever play as a rogue is going to have this happen, like right where you essentially insta-gib somebody. So, and it is a capstone skill here, right? So,
And and the thing is, even though we don't have too many instant kill things in the game, we still have instant kill stuff in the game. Look
right.
at the Way of the Open Palms monk. If once they set that quivering palm up, they can instant kill somebody.
Yep.
Now, granted, it's not going to be easy to set up that quivering palm, but it's still possible.
Sure.
And I think that's the whole premise with this ability is it's not going to be easy, super easy to set it up, but if you happen to set it up, it's going to feel amazing and
Yep.
very assassin-y.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I will say this caveat one more time. Perhaps I've gone off the rails and I've just suggested an outrageously overpowered thing for Dungeons and Dragons, but you got to admit it'd be pretty cool if it
Yeah.
happened.
As I think, as I honestly, I think these 4 updates, the updates to these 4 skills, I think really would make it feel much more like an assassin in terms of 3rd level, you get those flavor proficiencies and a way to assassinate people a little bit more common. 9th level, you get improved chances to actually blend into a crowd and to make yourself identify as somebody or from a house or whatever. 13th ability really fits into your whole poisoning, your weapons and stuff like that. Because let's face it, an assassin has more than one way to kill people. They're
That's
not
right.
always going to want to just stab you through the heart.
That's right.
For all the historian buffs out there, assassins to me feel like shinobi ninjas. They're not always going to come at you with weapons. They're going to trickle some poison down into your mouth when you're sleeping at 4 in the morning, or poison your food, or maybe like destroy your crops so you starve to death, or whatever it may be. So there has to be those multiple ways of getting to you. And then 17th level, get that small possibility of instant death. But if instant death doesn't work, at least you still get a damage boost
Yep. Yep.
instead of a all or nothing type of thing.
Yep. I this makes me want to try our new enhanced rogue assassin a little bit. So
Maybe in a level 20 one shot.
that would be the best place to try it out for sure.
Yeah, maybe once we get a few more revised classes to go along with the assassin rogue and our monk revisions, we could do a one shot.
Okay, that would be fun. That would definitely be fun. Do a little bit of play test and see how off the reservation we actually ended up.
Exactly. But there y'all have it. Those are what we think are the some good updates that would make the assassin subclass of the rogue better. Um, are they probably the best updates? Probably not. They need a little bit of play testing to refine. But I think as a first go around, I think these updates are definitely going to be super helpful to the assassin rogue. Because honestly, the assassin is probably is definitely the weakest subclass of rogue, and probably one of the weakest subclasses out of anything, along with probably the alchemist, some monk subclasses, and things of that nature.
Sure. Sure.
Well, with that, um, definitely comment down below on what changes you enjoy or you might think of for the assassin rogue, and we would love to hear about it and to converse with you about it. And until next time, keep y'all's lives geeky, YouTube.
Happy New Year, everyone, and goodbye.